What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. I love when you all send questions. It's so much fun just kind of tackling the topic that you come up with, whether for the Thursday lives or just a question that I can tackle later on in another episode. So today I'm breaking down this really fun one that Bucky749 sent me about my favorite line right now, JoJo Classified series. As soon as I read it, I said, oh, this is going to be amazing. Grab my pen, grab my pad, and started working to start knocking this out. It's so much fun. Anyway, here is the question. Sergeant Slaughter and Roddy Piper became members of the G.I. Joe line. Take some celebrities, 5 for the Joes and 5 for Cobra, and tell us their code names and what their file card would say. Bucky749, thank you for the question, the comment, the suggestion. So awesome. And I had a blast doing this, and I'm sure there will be lots of comments and people having all kinds of suggestions. And I started whipping up my images as soon as I got my list completed, coming up with code names. I did not write out a file card. I'm going to play that off the top of my head. I did write in my notes what their specialties are. So yeah, bear with me as I, work that out. But I figured if I'm going to start off with any celebrity, it just makes sense to get a G.I. Joe Classified series off of the final boss himself, and that is Rock, Dwayne Johnson. In this case, he's not Roadblock. That's ridiculous. He's going to be Bull. And I thought about Brahma Bull, but I felt like that's too much of a tongue twister. Final boss, I love that nickname, but that didn't work either. So this one, we still get a little bit of his Brahma Bull, the great one, the great Bull, regardless. So his specialty is SWAT commander. This is who Shockwave reports to. This is when the Joes need somebody to come in crashing through a big barricade with a minimal, small, elite strike force. Bull's leading the charge. He's the cousin of Red Dog because it's all about the bloodline in G.I. Joe as well as WWE. And I mean, we don't even need to change up his costume. Give him this exact look with the tactical vest. Make sure it's of that pliable material so he didn't have that torso limited articulation that we've seen with some Joes. But I mean, I rewatched G.I. Joe Retaliation the other day. It's got some real problems to it. I felt like Paramount was kind of hedging their bets. Like, do we really want to embrace everything that makes this a G.I. Joe movie? Or let's try to make it realistic. And I felt like they had the wacky vehicles. And I say wacky in the most endearing way possible. I mean, just like, oh, wow, we've got vehicles that would work in a G.I. Joe cartoon. But I felt like they tried to keep the colors a little bit subdued. The Cobra Troopers were more in all black than blue. And they were so close with some other things. I mean, Firefly, Cobra Commander looked great. Zartan, Jonathan Price was great, but he didn't look like Zartan. But so much of it was really good. And while he was a terrible roadblock, The Rock basically plays himself or plays the same action hero role in everything. But I thought, this guy needs a G.I. Joe Classified series figure. This look was cool. And especially, you see, got a little bit of that wrestler bodysuit with the black underneath that camo on the inside portion. I think that would make for a cool figure. And if you wanted to do a celebrity in your Classified series line, Rock would be a great one to start with. And the Bull, he's taking care of things, leading the charge, hence the Bull nickname. And I just think he'd be a lot of fun in this one. And, Bucky749 gave me all kinds of, criteria like, hey, you can do wrestlers, you can do athletes in general, you can do celebrities overall, or even historical figures. I didn't do any historical figures, spoiler, because I figured there were so many celebrities that I could put in here right now because I want that same excitement that we had back in the day with William Refrigerator Perry in a commercial, Sergeant Slaughter doing the commercial. So I wanted celebrities that I could have doing the actual deal to sell their figures to their fans, as well as G.I. Joe Classified series fans. So next up, I'm going to alternate this, and I really regret not doing a Cobra and G.I. Joe logo for each one, just to make it easy for you all as you're watching this later on. But my next one is a Cobra member here, And I just decided to go wrestler for wrestler. Lots of great options for a Cobra wrestler, but I decided in the end to go with one but they would make for a really great Cobra agent. That's Dave Batista, and just in this look, I don't need anything from the. I need him as my bad guy, and this time he's gonna be called Deliverance because Deliverance is the Cobra torturer. He's like, look into my pyramid eye. And he's not like Crystal Ball. He's got all kinds of devices. He's got that sinister look. Maybe he's got an axe with him too. I just thought that Batista looks tough, intimidating. Throw some glasses on him. Give him like this the shirt that he's rocking. Clearly, I'm not designing these guys. I just figured this would be a cool picture, kind of like a reference model of how I thought they would look cool in. So he's got like the tuxedo shirt, flare with the ruffles, off of black, maybe a red collar, get a little bit of that destro flavor into it too. But he's the guy that when he captures the Joes, it's the last one they want to see because they know Deliverance is going to deliver vital key information to Cobra Commander once he's got him in his clutches. So there's Deliverance. We've got Bull, we've got Deliverance. Now we're gonna go back to the Joe squad, and this one kind of fills that athlete spot on my squad here. And this one is one of the greatest Olympians of all time, Simone Biles, aka Vault. Vault's specialty is daring infiltrations, which means she's going to do those daredevil stunts. Somebody's being ferried by Cobra on a high-speed motorboat. Vault is going to dive down and get them, and she's going to sneak into those really small, tight places, go in those hard-to-reach spots when all the other Joes are like too big, too muscular, or just can't get it. Vault doesn't care. She's a daredevil at heart. She specializes in flips, twists, all that good stuff. I'm trying to figure out what would be a good weapon. Maybe nunchucks, because I feel like we've got swords with Jinx and Helix. So maybe some nunchucks, throwing stars, potentially. I think that'd be kind of fun. She's twirling around, throwing those throwing stars. That's great. Yeah, so we've got her shurikens. There we go. She's tossing them as she's doing her flips, and not quite sure the costume. Maybe the red, white, and blue. I don't know. But there you go. So there's Vault. She's our daring infiltration specialist. So she gets in, does her thing, helps free people, and takes care of things that no other Joe can do. So my Cobra, I didn't go with an Olympian this time. I figured there's several I could have gone with, Ryan Lochte maybe, but I decided to go with another person, just in the same vein of how Vault quickly does some daring things to get to people. This Cobra agent does some daring things to kidnap and get people out of there. So, say there's an ambassador speaking somewhere, this guy goes in and kidnaps them and very quickly goes out of there, gets out of there. And that is Wheelman, aka Jason Statham. And I mean, we've seen this guy do all kinds of fast getaway driving movies. I just thought, I mean, this dude's cool. He just oozes it. And he's one of those expert mercenaries that Cobra Commander taps whenever he needs something done precisely. Wheelman sticks to a schedule and is one of the more reliable Cobra agents that Cobra Commander has at his disposal. And he doesn't say much. He gets the job done, which makes him a great agent, a great agent for Cobra Commander to call to the field because he gets the job done. Kind of like Major Blood on the cartoon, never failed a mission. He always got stuff done. I always thought that was cool with him in the cartoon. It's cool in the comic book, but I really liked how he always got stuff taken care of. Next up, Savalt sneaks into places to get people out. We got to have a Joe, if he happens to get caught by Deliverance, can get himself out of a tight spot, or is able to conceive plans to get Joes and hostages out of tricky spots. And that means I'm going with my expert, Lee Jung-jae. You might know from Squid Game and Star Wars The Acolyte, calling him Breakout. He's the escape artist. He comes up with all these daring ways to escape out of Cobra traps. Cobra's all about those Destro, Dr. Mindbender, Breakout's the one that can analyze everything and figure out the best and safest way for the Joes to get in and out of these hard to break into spots. He teams frequently with Vault, and they're a great excavation, removing all these obstacles out of the way for Joes on their missions. This is Breakout. And I want to make sure I had a nice one of the things that I always thought was cool about G.I. Joe was they were so diverse. They had so many people of different backgrounds. And I thought, hey, the Joes don't have an escape artist. So this would be a really cool specialty to work into the mix. And, along those lines, I mean, Cobra really does have ridiculous death traps, whether it's big cyborgs, whether it's Conan on steroids who's 8 feet tall. Somebody's got to come up with this stuff. So I figured, why not make that a new Cobra scientist role, a new expert, and let's go with Sydney Sweeney. Let's call her Webs. She's the Cobra trap designer. Got to get some eyes on Madam Web one way or the other. So Webs is the person who's working with Destro and Dr. Mindbender to keep Cobra Commander entertained with all of those big pit devices, the traps, that once he's captured to the Joe team members, he can have some fun watching them squirm and try to survive the most sinister, diabolical device that Webs can create. So there you go. We've got Deliverance, we got Bull, we got Vault, we got Wheelman, we got Breakout, we got Webs. Now it's time for another Joe. Keeping all this fun going. And this is my Joe who you got to throw him into a situation where it looks really bad, where it's just, this is not going to work out well. Let's try it. There's no chance that the higher ups, that the generals will approve this mission. So we've got to send in somebody when Snake Eyes is just too violent, too rough. Got to send in this guy. And that is Dev Patel. He's going to be Agent Goodnight. And I kind of like this cool look for him. I think with the flowing hair and the facial hair, this looks really interesting. I envision him using a sword, a gun, kind of like the John Wick of the Joe team, without being John Wick. I felt like Keanu Reeves was too on the nose. Goodnight here is that one-man wrecking crew. You send him into a spot, he's going to come out and survive absolutely no matter what. And so for the last thing, all the Cobra agents that see him say or have uttered to them is, it's a good night to be a Joe. I'll work on those puns and all that good stuff later. Got to talk to Larry Hama about writing up these foul cars, but that's Agent Goodnight. So there you go, Dev Patel rocking it on that front. Now we need another Cobra agent, and not just the Cobra agent. We are fast rolling out all of these Dreadnoks. So it's time to add a new member to their roster. When you think of the Dreadnoks, you're not thinking about guns and sophisticated hardware. You're thinking about mass, just janky weapons of destruction, however they can cobble them together. So I figured, why not get somebody who's pretty used to working with edge-bladed weapons. Of course, now I'm talking about, and he also works because he fits in with the homeland of so many of the Dreadnoks. Talk about Hugh Jackman. And he is going to be Dreadnought Slasher. Dreadnought Slasher uses edge blades that he attaches to his hands, cybernetically implemented by Dr. Mindbender. And now he goes around on his bike, hanging out with Buzzer, Torch, Ripper, Naugahyde, Road Pig, etc., causing mass confusion with the rest of the Dreadnoks. I think this hairstyle for Hugh Jackman works really well. We'll figure out how we're going to implement those blades in the future. But I feel like he's a really obvious candidate to be a celebrity G.I. Joe. And if the Joe team could pitch anyone on being part of this, I think Hugh Jackman's a really good one, especially since, hey, we've got this Australian biker gang, and you'd be perfect. So there you go, Hugh Jackman, Dreadnought Slasher. And it's funny, we're going so fast, getting through this way quicker than I envisioned or imagined. So now it's time for our final Joe member. And this is one I feel like I needed to, like how Dialtone and Mainframe were so cutting edge for their time period. I needed a Joe who could be that positive influencer. So this agent kind of poses like she's just a celebrity. She's running around taking pictures at all the red carpets when in actuality she's keeping an eye on potential hostages. She's looking out, making sure that no one gets kidnapped on her watch. And she's got her eyes and ears all over making sure Cobra's not planning anything with big time celebrities. We've seen this with Cobra on the cartoon. They're all about grabbing people and when they least expect it. So this agent is making sure she's all over the world, kind of keeping an eyes and ears out on a proactive tip to watch out for Cobra. And I thought, what better choices than someone who's so used to being in action movies, talking about Zendaya. And I love this outfit she's rocking at the Dune 2 premiere. Gotta think that'd be a fun one when she's actually in costume, maybe minus the jewels. But this could be part of her undercover outfit that she's walking the red carpet and then she spots a couple of Cobras, maybe Baroness, Zorana, working undercover. She spots Zartan and the whole crew because she's mastered their speech pattern even when they're in disguise. So we've got Maven, and Maven is just keeping her eyes out for everything. She doesn't typically join the Joe team, maybe Breaker, Dial Tone, or Clutch, depending on your Joe continuity. In terms of who's devising all this stuff, they give her a mask that she puts on, like with nanotech technology, so she is able to go on these missions and no one knows that it's really her. So I thought that was fun. And then I was like, well, shoot, I need to have a Cobra agent that's kind of her counterpart because a lot of the Joes and Cobras had their equal on the other side. So I thought about it, I was like, who would be a good one? So I came up with one that I figured maybe the team won't be down for, but I just figured for last, let's go through this one. Not an actual candidate, but just hey, this one doesn't make the this one ends up on the cutting room floor. Dave Chappelle is a transgressor. He is the toxic troll running around on social media, feeding propaganda, making sure people go and buy into Cobra rhetoric. So I feel like, we need that social media guy. This would be the transgressor. He's doing all the stuff behind the scenes, manipulating the youth of tomorrow to go all in on Cobra's insidious plans. But since I figured maybe that would be too controversial for Hasbro, even in my imaginary world, let's go with this one. One celebrity who has the pulse of America at her fingertips at all times. And I'm envisioning this Cobra agent being also a front facing celebrity who is using her powers for the absolute evil. She's managed by extensive enterprises who are spreading the good word of Cobra and making sure the youth of tomorrow buy into extensive enterprises stock and all the things that are helping to fund Cobra's projects, including Cobra's own version of Bitcoin. I'm talking about Taylor Swift as Lark. She's the siren that's bringing in so many impressionable kids over onto the Cobra side, whether they realize it or not. And I just want to have a little fun here, poking fun at Travis Kelce's girlfriend. Are they still together? Anyway, so we got Lark here, and she's definitely part of extensive enterprises that William Cobra. She's a loyal Crimson Guards woman when she's not masquerading as the world's greatest celebrity. I just thought that'd be really fun to have that as part of my Celebrity Joe and Cobra squad. So let's run through them real fast. The whole group of my Celebrity Joes and Cobra agents. Got The Rock as Bull. Got Dave Bautista as the Cobra interrogator, Deliverance. Got Simone Biles as Vault, the Joe Special Infiltration Specialist. Jason Statham as the Cobra Wheelman. We've got Jung Jae Jung. Oh, darn, I was gonna mess it up. Lee Jung Jae as Breakout, the Joe Escape Artist. Got Sydney Sweeney as Webbs, the insidious, sinister Cobra trap designer. Dev Patel as a one-man wrecking crew, Midnight. Got Hugh Jackman as Dreadnought Slasher. Then we've got Zendaya as Maven, the Joe undercover agent celebrity. And then finally, we've got Taylor Swift as the extensive enterprise agent, Cobra propaganda machine, Lark. So that's my celebrity Joes. Bucky, what do you think? Did I complete the assignment? What do you think about my Joe choices as celebrities? So Bucky749, of course, I want to hear from you. You all let me know what your choices for celebrity Joes and Cobras would be. And as always, if you have other suggestions, questions, or stuff you want to hear us talk about in the chats, or me just go on an episode like this, send them along. Hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, email, loudesmoviefiles@gmail.com. Hit me up. It's always fun talking and hearing from you guys and tackling topics that you'd like to hear me break down too. So that's it for this one. Hopefully your bracket's still together. This episode of Loud Speaker Files has been filed.